I was already halfway to the door when his lawyer stopped me. "Before you go," he said, voice casual, almost careless, "what's your full legal name?" My fingers tightened on the handle of my suitcase. That single question sliced deeper than all the months of exhaustion, the endless nights watching over a man who couldn't breathe without machines, who couldn't remember his own birthday, but somehow remembered the face of a daughter he'd lost decades ago, the daughter I had spent my whole life becoming. 6 months earlier, he was fragile when I met him. His skin was parchment, his body a map of scars time had carved without mercy. But his eyes, sharp, piercing, unwilling to surrender, still carried the weight of empires. He didn't want nurses. He wanted presence. Someone who didn't flinch at decay. I didn't flinch. I read to him, fed him, sat through the long silences when death hovered too close. He confessed things in whispers, his regrets, his mistakes, the love he abandoned because his family forced his hand. "She would have been your age now," he said once, staring through me, not at me. "My daughter. I wonder if she hates me." I never answered. My silence was my camouflage. The revelation. He died in February. Snow outside, sterile white inside. When the will was read, I was invisible in the room. Just the caretaker, the shadow in the corner. Every asset, every company share, every house, left to his lost daughter, given up for adoption should she be found. My heart beat once, hard enough to shake me. The lawyer's tone was clinical. The room gasped, murmured. I kept my face blank. They didn't know. Not yet. The betrayal. I should explain something. I wasn't born unlucky. I was made unlucky. My mother raised me with a story I didn't ask for, a name on a birth certificate that meant nothing, a father I would never know. She told me once, when anger loosened her tongue, that he was rich, powerful, untouchable, that his family forced her to vanish. That truth grew in me like a tumor. I tried to find him. Letters, calls, silence, until I discovered he was dying, alone. Until I created a resume, a backstory, a mask. Until I stepped into his mansion as just a caretaker. And he never suspected. The plan. I didn't rage when I read the will. I didn't cry when the family lawyers smirked, assuming no daughter would ever be found. I only thought, you left everything to her, to me. All I had to do was wait for the question. I spent the following weeks packing carefully, slowly, making myself small, disposable. The family thought I was leaving empty-handed. Good. Let them. But I knew the lawyer. He'd been watching me. He noticed the details. The books I read aloud weren't random. They were the ones my mother had said he loved. The way I folded his handkerchiefs wasn't the way of a nurse, but of someone who had studied him. The fact that I never once asked for money. I gave him enough clues, a trail to follow. The moment. So when he asked, "What's your full legal name?" I turned, slowly, letting silence stretch until the walls seemed to lean closer. I told him, my real name, the one on the adoption papers. His eyes flickered, recognition, calculation, shock. He glanced at the will on his desk, then back at me. He didn't finish. He didn't have to. Behind that polished expression, I could feel the panic building. He realized what it meant. That all those heirs in their silk suits, waiting to carve up the corpse of a dynasty, were suddenly irrelevant. The revenge. When the truth was confirmed, the family fought. Of course they did. They clawed, threatened, screamed, called me a fraud, a thief, a liar. But every document lined up. My birth records, my mother's history, the pieces I'd been stitching together for years. I'd left nothing to chance. They had money, but I had blood. The law bent to that. One by one, their voices fell silent. Their inheritance evaporated. Their empire slid into my hands, the same hands they'd dismissed as those of a servant. The sweetest part wasn't the wealth, it was their faces. The dawning horror that the stranger who spoon-fed their patriarch, who scrubbed his frail skin, who endured their sneers in silence, was the one he'd loved most, even without knowing it. The confrontation. The eldest son cornered me once, in the marble hallway, his voice a hiss. You planned this. You manipulated him. I